Greetings, citizens! I am FailureToReport, and today we're going to be talking about Star Citizen's new capital ship and the, let's call it interesting, approach that the CIG marketing arm took to pushing this new concept ship. So relax, pop open your favorite adult beverage, and let's do this thing, shall we? Now, this story begins in December 2017, when Cloud Imperium opened up a poll to the backer community to select the next great Drake starship. There were three options for backers to choose from: a multi-crew exploration ship called the Corsair, an entry-level salvage ship named the Vulture, and finally a scout carrier codenamed the Kraken. Now, there was a lot of controversy at the time of this poll because somehow the future EVE Online clone salvage ship won out against a ship the community has been asking for since as far back as I can remember. And so the dedicated Drake carrier slipped back under the tides, leaving many an angry whale wondering, when will they get their carrier? Yet, fast forward through time to CitizenCon 2018 and the first unveiling of the Drake Kraken.
The time has come for something new. Something to change the game. When seeking fortunes at the fringes of civilization, you need someone you can trust. In this age of uncertainty, it's time to take back your strength. It's time to release the Kraken. Drake Interplanetary. We got your back.
When people asked me what my predictions for CitizenCon were, I honestly didn't have many outside of one thing that I was pretty positive on. We were going to see the Kraken carrier concept, and it was going to sell faster than a baby seal tossed into a pool of sharks turns into little chunks. Yet, there was one thing myself and others didn't see coming: the way CIG decided to cash this cow in. After the Kraken ship page came online during the convention, backers were greeted with the normal roleplay webpage and ship brochure, but the marketing team, they had a surprise in store for backers this time. There was no price. There was no sale page. Instead, backers were asked to express their interest in the Kraken by filling out a form box telling Drake Interplanetary why they would like to have access to buying a Kraken. Upon filling out this form with the word interest, thinking that I would then be forwarded to a ship sale page or sent an email with sale information, such as price and availability, I was instead prompted that I would be contacted by October 22nd with additional information? At this point, I was pretty blown away. We have seen some of the cleverest predatory marketing coming out of Star Citizen that we've ever seen in the gaming industry in recent years. And now they were not only pushing out a hyped up carrier concept, which would undoubtedly cost more than $1,000, be limited in quantity, and put up for sale before the concept's Q&A was even finished, but now CIG was also withholding the price while selecting who would have the chance to buy this new digital demonstration of I bought something you can't buy. I personally found this new marketing strategy to be amazing. Never in 1,000 years did I think I would see a year where CIG not only moved lifetime insurance behind the war bond paywall without so much as a whimper from the community, but to imagine that they would be so bold as to develop a whole new method of marketing hype. I can honestly say I was blown away, and I never saw it coming. But if there's one thing CIG has been developing faster than their game's core tech, it's methods to ensure that they don't leave any money on the table that they could have whisked off to the bank. And so, after seeing the full scope of this new sale method develop, I was instantly concerned for a number of reasons. You see, in previous years, capital ships were offered usually in limited quantity over a period of days. This resulted in a first-come, first-served scenario where the quickest through the checkout line would have a shiny new JPEG in their hangar, while those who weren't fully prepared to shell out a large sum of money all at once or had the foresight to melt out just the right amount in RSI credit usually were left wanting. Then there were also some other obvious issues with this sale method, especially when you consider the gray market resellers who would sit on tens of thousands in RSI credit, capable of gobbling up ridiculous numbers of these limited ships all at once. There was also the sheer number of people who would F5 refresh the store page just to see what the new ship's price and availability was, including people who had no intention of even buying it, they just wanted to see what it was. This would usually lead to the RSI website getting just murdered by sheer traffic, and many would-be buyers ended up getting screwed because of it. My initial reasoning for the new sale method leaned heavily on the suspicion that CIG was attempting to prevent both the gray market from eating up all of these ships and then selling them at a markup, as well as an attempt to keep the site from crashing due to everyone trying to buy them all at once. And while these goals are obviously a noble attempt at improvement, I was immediately concerned with how this concept was being run behind the scenes. Backers were given zero information beyond the interest form response indicating that further details were coming on the 22nd. How was CIG running the selection on who got to have a chance to purchase the Kraken? Will they be given the opportunity to buy one or more of them? Will there be a limited amount available that the chosen would have to fight over? Will certain backers and organizations be given favoritism over others? With the rest of the community, I was left with only speculations as CIG remained silent from the 10th of October until the 19th, when, suddenly, select backers started receiving RSI emails indicating they were selected to participate in the Drake Kraken sale event, which then started 5 hours after the emails went out. So, how did the sale event work? It was broken down into 7 different waves of invites, with Wave 1 starting that night on the 19th and rolling down to Wave 7 on the 21st of October. If you were selected to be in Wave 1 through 6, you were reserved a direct purchase opportunity to buy a Kraken. If you were in Wave 7, however, you were given a chance to buy a limited quantity of Warbond and credit purchasable Krakens against everybody else in Wave 7. So, because of the sale structure, ensuring that some backers were guaranteed a chance to purchase a Kraken if they wanted one, while others would have to fight for the chance against any other would-be buyers, the match to the powder keg was finally lit. Within the first hour of the sale announcement on the 19th, there were countless threads on Reddit and Spectrum of backers polling others to see if they were selected, what wave they had been given, how much they had previously spent on Star Citizen, and what they had written into the interest form. Unfortunately, these polls are mixed with various results, some results leaning towards backer pledge amounts, others leaning towards the interest form submissions, but at their core, these polls are unfortunately unreliable at best due to sample sizes and the inability to verify submissions for authenticity. From my own experience, many of the higher priority waves were filled with backers who had pledged above the average amount. My own account is considered a 10K account by CIG, and my interest form was literally the word interest. Yet, I was given Wave 2 in the Kraken lottery. So, with the lack of clarification or input coming from CIG on how the waves were actually structured and selected, there were many bitter backers left without a Kraken as they either lost the fight in Wave 7 free-for-all, or they were altogether not given a chance to buy the ship because they were not invited. After watching Spectrum and the Star Citizen subreddit for a few days, I tried to reach out to various CIG points of contact, from concierge support to their press contact, in an attempt to get some clarification on how the waves were chosen and to give CIG an opportunity to ensure I accurately represented their thought process behind the sale, as well as how they saw the sale unfold. Unfortunately, at the time of this video's posting, I have not yet received any response from my attempts to contact CIG. And since I don't have an official RSI response to the sale, we are left with everyone else, speculating on the intent of the new marketing technique, as well as CIG's satisfaction with how it played out. So, let's go ahead and get out our armchair marketing hats and talk some shit. First off, to my knowledge, this is the first concept sale where CIG has kept the price from backers right up until it was being offered. Backers were left speculating what the price point would be literally right up until Wave 1 purchase site went live. At a price point of 1400 Warbond, which is CIG's name for new money only, or 1,650 RSI credit, it seems odd that CIG didn't bother revealing the price beforehand, and this leads to the first speculation on my behalf. They didn't have a price point when they unveiled the Kraken at CitizenCon. Instead, They sat back and watched the forums to see what players came up with for prices and adjusted it from there. There were many people saying, I would gladly pay $3,000, $3,500, $4,000 for a carrier like the Kraken. And I think that played some part in CIG's pricing since, hey, they hadn't revealed it and they could literally make it whatever they wanted. And while the Kraken did end up priced reasonably close to what I suspected its first offering would be, it's worth remembering that this is the initial concept price and it will undoubtedly increase from here, much like the Idris, which started out at $1,000 and $1,200 for the two variants and has increased steadily year after year from there. My next suspicion is that the sale was heavily catered towards those who have given a large amount of money to Cloud Imperium. My lore interest submission couldn't have been described as sincere by any level of thought. I had merely typed the word interest because I thought, hey, I would get some roleplay email or page forward to the ship's actual sale page so that I could see the price and get an idea of how many CIG was planning to sell because I wanted to cover the concept. I had no idea at the time that I would be entered into a purchase lottery. So, to those of you who filled the entire maximum character limit with your best roleplay in-character purchase request and landed in Wave 7 or didn't even get an invite, just know that CIG thought my one-word submission was more important, because I've given them more money than you. Number 3 on the Kraken conspiracy list. This really didn't have anything to do with stopping the gray market. Cloud Imperium got into a bit of a controversy a few years back when someone popped open their Zendesk help page element and found that CIG was tagging player accounts based on things like being a snowflake, goon, high maintenance, and so on. The idea that CIG isn't tracking which accounts are gray market sellers is literally insanity to me. They absolutely know which accounts are tied to the gray market, and if they wanted to ensure those accounts didn't get the chance to buy a Kraken, I feel like they could easily do so. It is my opinion that the waves in selection were done to create a sense of scarcity and urgency to the Kraken sale. We've seen CIG incentivize rapid impulse buying with limited serialized hull number and plenty of other things like that before, and I think this was just a more subtle way of creating the same urgency without creating extra work that they would have to put in game later on. But even with all of that said, I don't think everything about this new sale method was done bad. The idea of avoiding the F5 war by creating purchase waves seems like a worthy goal. And one of the most irritating things about chasing limited number ships in Star Citizen is being beat out by people who automate the checkout through scripting or bots, and the idea of ensuring those who were genuinely interested in buying a Kraken were given the chance is, in my opinion, a good thing. I would also give credit to CIG if this was in fact an attempt to keep the ship out of the hands of gray market resellers, though I suspect that wasn't their motivation. Even if, as a byproduct of this sale, we see fewer of these ships being on the gray market or other sites, then, in my opinion, well done CIG. I really feel like this new sale method does have some pros to it, and I don't feel like it would take much for CIG to either cut down on or outright eliminate the cons. So, where would I like to see this go if CIG were to repeat this sale? More transparency. CIG should have clearly stated how the selection of the waves would work from the onset of this concept. Hiding behind role-playing as an excuse not to disclose how the sale was going to be conducted and who would be selected is garbage. We're customers. We deserve to know this kind of stuff. So, it should surprise nobody that my next issue is communication. CIG. You are absolutely trash. Like, probably one of the worst companies I have ever seen in terms of communication. When Chris was presenting the Kraken, he could have right then and there outlined how the Kraken was going to be sold. Furthermore, many people filled out your stupid roleplay form and were told, we will contact you with additional information by October 22nd. Guess what happened by October 22nd? All of the Krakens were sold out. Even though I had no intention of buying one, my wave selection stated that I had a Kraken hull reserved for me and that my sale would run from October 20th until October 31st. After viewing my offered Kraken page, I saw no indicator of a limited quantity or a cutoff to buy the reserved Kraken. Yet, if I go to the Kraken site now, it's no longer available and the site informs me all Krakens have been sold out. So, while this isn't an issue for me personally, as I had no intention of ever buying one, somebody out there who was also given a reserved haul and the indication that they had until the 31st to buy theirs is probably freaking out right now over the terrible communication that led to them not getting their Kraken. Next up, price up front. The community really needs to stand up on this one. I can think of few anti-consumer practices CIG employs that is worse than hiding the price right up until the moment of the sale, especially when you are giving only a limited number of people the chance to purchase the ship. I cannot count how many people I saw who were selected for a certain wave of the Kraken sale on Spectrum stating they were willing to buy this ship up to $1,000, but no more than that. How many players were selected to buy the Kraken but would never go on to buying it because it was more than they were willing to spend? While other backers who weren't selected at all to even have a chance of buying one may very well have purchased one at the offered price. The Q&A. This isn't necessarily Kraken specific, nor is it tied to this new sale method, but it is still mind-boggling to me that the community accepts concepts being offered for sale before CIG has clarified what the intent and purpose of the concept is to the community. I can't even count how many times a concept was offered only for the Q&A to send backers running for the melt bin. The issue with that is that most of the backers have already bought the concept by the time the Q&A is put online, and that means more money for CIG that might have otherwise not been pulled in. So, short of the community making a very big deal out of concept Q&As coming before the sale, this one is never going to happen, and honestly, that's the community's problem anyways. I learned very early on as a Star Citizen backer not to buy a concept that CIG hasn't given out detailed information on, but it's still a shitty predatory practice, so I put it on the list anyways. And so, all things considered, these are my biggest issues with how the Kraken sale was conducted and how I'd like to see it addressed the next time CIG offers up a ship this way. I've said this a lot since I stopped backing Star Citizen in December, through comment responses, Spectrum chat, or even Discord conversations, but this video feels like an appropriate time to readdress this due to its relevance. I don't hate Star Citizen. I have issues with certain design choices in the game, and I'm unhappy with various issues that have come and gone through the game's development. However, I absolutely hate CIG's marketing practices. They demonstrate time and again that they are actively looking for new predatory tactics to feed on backers, which seems very contrary to the good faith given by customers who back this evil publisher-free dream, especially when the man running it was telling everyone that they had more than enough funding years ago. If the money isn't an issue for CIG, why do they jump at every opportunity to find new ways of squeezing every dollar possible out of the people who funded his dream? At any rate, I am FailureToReport, and I thank each and every one of you for taking the time out of your day to watch this content. It's my goal with this channel not to make you hate Star Citizen or love it, but to encourage you all to think objectively on every aspect of this game's development and the company developing it. With that, I will see you next time, citizen.